Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Amazing Race Rewind podcast, the podcast where we rewind back in time to watch the earliest seasons of The Amazing Race for the first time. My name is Andrew.
And I'm Jill.
And we are here today to talk about Season 4, Episode 4. Okay, so full transparency for both of us. We watched this episode a little bit ago, so we might be a little bit fuzzy on some of the details. But we have our notes, and we still know what happened.
Yeah, we've done our job. Life gets in the way. We've been distracted with other forms of art at the moment, which I'm sure we've mentioned at some point.
Right.
But yeah, so I'll just full disclaimer now. Pardon us if we tangent and talk about the Hunger Games at any point, because the new book is out, and that is a big deal for us.
It's a big deal for us, yeah. Yeah, if you weren't familiar, that's our other facet of interest is the Hunger Games series.
Yes.
As well as The Amazing Race. But there's no time for that on this podcast because this is not the Hunger Games Rewind, it's The Amazing Race Rewind, and we're talking about episode 4. Jill, overall opinions for this episode.
Honestly, the tasks in here, they weren't some of, if I look at all 4 seasons, they weren't my favorite tasks. However, there wasn't really, I'd say, a blunder in tasks, in terms of the design of them.
Production,
they did a pretty good job. Yeah, they did a pretty good job of having decently interesting locations. The detour was a little come on, but overall, I would say I was impressed in that respect. What about you?
Yeah, I thought there was a lot of navigating this episode. It was very transportation heavy. It was like, okay, go to Paris, then go to what was wherever the racetrack was. I don't remember that. And then you're going to travel 3 million miles by car to Marseille, which is just a lot of unnecessary travel in my opinion. It's we could have just done Paris and then surrounding area.
It felt very much like season 1 again, I would say.
Yeah, well, and this is our first time returning to Paris since season 1, although we didn't, or France, because they did go to Marseille in season 1 also, right?
They were somewhere in the south. Was it Marseille? I
think it was.
Anyway, but in that area, maybe it was Marseille.
Yeah, so there was a lot of that, which, I appreciate the navigating, but the driving 3,000 kilometers is a little bit unnecessary, in my opinion, but we move forward. Let's start this episode off at Shislosh Org Castle in Western Austria.
Org.
Yeah, that's what I have written down, yeah. .org. Steve and Josh are departing first at 2:57 a.m., and this is where we learn that they're going to fly to Paris. Oh, and they're going to go to Le Mans, which is a race car track.
Yes, a very, I guess, notable race car track. And right off the bat here, there's kind of a debacle that we see go through the rest of the teams, which is, do you take the train or the taxi to the Salzburg airport?
You always take the taxi, my friends. You always take the taxi.
But Steve and Josh, they do not.
Yeah, Josh is adamant that everybody is going to take the train and that they need to save some money to do this. And Steve says, well, I don't think so. So they go back and forth. We have some quotes here. I'll bet you $5 they'll drive here. You really blew this one. Did you see anybody else here? Once they arrived at the train station and realized that they were the only ones there, because everybody else did decide to take a cab, which is significantly quicker than train.
And Josh does admit his wrongs, a little later. But it definitely, and again, back to this theme of teams who win the first immediately falling behind.
Mm-hmm. Yes, it's almost a curse to. Well, I guess the strategy for this season is to stay in the middle, because the middle is kind of a safe place to be. Because if you're at the front, you'll be at the back soon enough. Know that. Okay, Monica and Cherie are departing about an hour later from Steve and Josh at 3:51 a.m. Chip and Riken at 3:55. Tian and Dree at 3:57. Millie and Chuck are departing about almost an hour after that group. They're kind of in a cluster, and Millie has a quote saying she finds it hard to be patient with Chuck because she's much faster than him.
I won't lie, just from what we've seen of her, she does have quite a go attitude.
Well,
so
not even asthma could stop her.
No,
she can't breathe, but she's still going. Not many people could say the same.
And I think when you've got that, like it's hard to be more motivated than that, you know?
Yeah. So she's in it to win it. John and Al are talking a little bit about their alliance with Millie and Chuck, and they're going to take the train to Munich because it's a bigger airport there as opposed to Salzburg.
Yes, so they get on the train and go to Munich to then fly to Paris from there. And then is it here we see Kelly and John, and like Kelly, there's something about Kelly really doesn't like Millie at this point.
Yeah.
Is this here or was this later?
I think this is a little bit later. So, yeah, David and Jeff depart. Kelly and John depart. Kelly has a little line, like she does every single episode, saying she's sick of looking at John's behind because he's always leaving her. And she says she would like to be part of the team, so he should let her be.
And she said this last episode, but I feel like this episode she tries to step up a little bit more on that promise.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Yeah, she really does. Try to make sure she's doing this roadblock. But Kelly asks Millie where Millie and Chuck are going, and Millie tells her she doesn't know. And Kelly is put off by this.
You know what? Rightfully, like, Kelly has no right to be put off by it. Millie is just... It's not even like she's sabotaging. It's not like she's saying, oh, we're going here, and they're not. She's just telling them a little white lie. She's not even, she's not sabotaging them. She's just saying, I don't know. She could have said, oh, we're going to this place. We're going here, and throw Kelly and John off. But no, she just doesn't say anything.
Yeah.
And so you know what, Kelly? That's just the name of the game.
It's the name of the game. And we will see this Millie and Kelly rivalry kind of develop further throughout this episode, which I quite enjoyed, this little tat between the two of them. Okay, so we see Monica and Shree and Tiana and Jeree still on their little girl boss alliance moment. They fill up the plane, and Chip and Riken weren't able to get on it, I believe.
This plane is out of Salzburg, correct?
Yes.
Yeah, so I just have to say, Monica and Shree at this point, they're killing it. I'm loving them as a team. I think they're great. But yeah, as you said, so they get on the plane, and then Riken and Chip are kind of, I don't know if they're put on standby, but it's kind of a last minute thing. They don't think they can make it. And then they do get tickets. However, I don't know why it's only when they get onto the plane that this becomes an issue, but they find out that
you would think they'd realize.
Yeah. Well, no, I think one of them, whoever booked the tickets knew, but they booked business, which if you remember back to season 1, I think it was with Rob and Brennan on one of the last legs. You can sit in business, but you're not allowed to buy a business ticket. You can pay, you have to pay economy price. Basically, it doesn't matter where you sit on the plane, it just has to be an economy price. So this becomes an issue for them, and ultimately they have to get off the plane, which is a huge, easily preventable blunder on their part. Sorry.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if it was like easily preventable in the fact that I don't know if there were any other tickets available other than the business. But
if you're... you can sit in business class, you just can't pay for it. So that's something you solve at the desk. That's not something you solve once you've boarded the plane. That's something at the desk you're like, hey, is there any way that we could just pay the base fare? Or like, could you bump these people up and we'll sit in their seats type thing? Yeah.
So I think that they were trying to talk with the flight attendant, and the flight attendant was
that's
just...
the point. That's it. That is not the place to do it. You do it at the desk.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. And the flight attendant was just completely not having it. She shut them down at every single point. She says, no, absolutely not. This is closed. You're over. We're done with you. And Tiana and Jeree gloat in Riken and Chip's face that they didn't get on. But they do. It's not that big of a deal ultimately because they do get on a flight about an hour later. That is Riken and Chip. Okay. So going back to Steve and Dave are the last team to depart here at 6:04 a.m. They're talking about how to win the Amazing Race you need a lack of mistakes. And Steve and Dave, they don't make mistakes, is what they say.
I'll give them that. They haven't made mistakes.
Yeah, I mean, unless you can consider a bad knee a mistake, but some would say it's a fluke. Maybe you should have prepared a little bit more, done some stretching beforehand. I don't know.
But they haven't made any blunders within the race.
Yeah, I agree. They're just hobbling by. And good for them that they've made it this far, because we thought they were going to be out a few times.
Well, they've thought they're going to be out quite a few times.
Yeah, yes. Okay, this is where we go back to the Kelly and Millie rivalry, and Kelly is ruthless. and she just like tears into Millie here. And I must say, the producers and camera people are also ruthless for this. So she says, Millie the mole, cut to Millie, and they zoom in on her mole because she has a mole on her face. She says, that's
it's
who
so
I want
mean.
to. I know. They say, that's who I want to beat. She's like one of those cheerleaders in high school that I used to throw spit wads in their hair while they were cheering.
Can I just say, like, that bugs me so much because it just makes Kelly seem as bad as she's trying to make Millie seem.
I know. It's like, this really is not a good look, Kelly. But she'll give it to the cameras. She will.
She knows how to play the cameras.
Mind. She'll be sassy. She'll be snarky, and she'll get the screen time for it.
This is true.
Kelly and John are with Steve and Dave and Last at the airport here in Salzburg, I believe. That's where they are. And Kelly says, she's just really on a roll here. Kelly on fire. She says, with the insults, we're really impressed with the BFGs, big fat guys. Those guys are really amazing for them to make it this far. Referring to Steve and Dave, of course.
She's so mean.
I know. She really is. She's tearing into people left and right, slashing, stabbing into their souls. Girl Boss Alliance is in first place. Monica and Trey are pulling out the lead here and are able to get... So they arrive in Paris and they're able to get on a train before Tian and Juri at 11:05, which means Raikkonen and Chip and Tian and Juri are leaving an hour later than Monica and Sheree, who are killing it.
I'm rooting for them this leg. I'm loving it. And so, yes, Monica and Sheree are the first to the roadblock. And I loved this roadblock. I don't know. Like, I'm not a cars person in terms of, like, racing and stuff.
Yeah.
I don't watch... Like, what is the thing? What is the one my
F1.
mom watches? NASCAR. Yeah, Sarah loves F1, so I hear about F1 sometimes.
Some people, the people who are in F1 are really into F1, and it's like I just don't comprehend. It's like what's going on here that I don't understand.
It's just like whatever 18 ultra rich guys racing cars. I'm not a car person, but I liked this task.
Yeah. So the prompt for the roadblock was: person who performs this task will need to fit into a tight space. The tight space being this race car. So the roadblock is, congratulations, you've been hired as being a part of this pit team. Is that what they're called?
Crew.
The pit crew. And you have to change the tires of a race car before riding with a professional driver around the track. And this is not challenging at all.
Because you have an electric drill. Monica and Sharice, or whoever, I forget who does it from them, she struggles a little bit at the start, but once she gets it, she gets it. And I mean, they're not going to let you ride in this car if the tires aren't secure.
Yeah, it's going to be checked first for safety. Yeah.
So it's, if you've ever changed a tire, and I mean, trust me, I've changed tires without an electric drill, and that's not fun.
Yeah, so Monica completes this pretty quickly, and she says when she's riding around the track that I tried to wave at Cherie, but my arm almost broke because of how hard the wind was when she was in the race car. And then they open the clue and say, okay, we have to drive ourselves to Marcel's and go to a lighthouse to find their next clue. And I think hold on. I think this is a little bit unconventional leg design, because doesn't the detour usually come before the roadblock? I don't think it's very common that we see the roadblock this early.
Oh, wait.
I feel like it's usually the detour and then roadblock and then pit stop.
Wait, let me think about that.
Because it did feel kind of weird seeing the roadblock at this point.
Detour. Okay, yeah. So for some reason they swapped it here. I didn't even catch on to that.
Oh well, yeah. So they swapped it up. A little switcheroo here, keep us on our toes. Okay, Tian and Juri, Chip and Raikkonen arrive at relatively the same time, and Tian and Chip are battling each other at this roadblock to see who can get it faster. I don't remember who exactly.
And Juri isn't Juri yelling at Tian at this point as well?
Possibly, yes. Okay, Kelly and John, Steve and Dave arrive in Paris, and Kelly is adamant about being a part of the team and says, let me do the next roadblock. She's going to do this next roadblock so she can feel value within herself in this team. And
keep in mind too, she's saying this, they haven't read the clue yet.
She doesn't know what it's going to be, but she needs to do it. Because has she done one up to this point? I don't think
I don't know. And instant regret the minute they read the clue.
Yeah. So she immediately regrets it and was very upset about having to do the roadblock. But she does it. She does a fine job, doesn't she?
But it's like you said, it's not an overly difficult roadblock to begin with.
No, it really isn't.
You can't mess it up.
Millie can't breathe once again. Chuck does this roadblock and gets claustrophobia.
Yeah, he's going to sit down into the car after he's changed the tires, and then it just hits him, and he has to step out for a second.
Yeah, but it's not... The prompt is literally the person who does this needs to fit into a tight space. So it's like if you have a propensity to be claustrophobic, maybe this isn't the roadblock for you. Okay,
but his teammate can't breathe, so you're going to go with the person who's getting adequate oxygen.
I suppose. Okay. We see Monica and Cherie take on their way to Marseille, and they decide they're going to take some sort of scenic route here.
Yeah,
driving through towns.
This becomes an issue, kind of not an issue, a point of contention, kind of after these 4 teams that are doing the roadblock finish. Is I guess there's an expressway that Monica and Cherie didn't realize.
Yeah.
So they do lose a bit of their lead, but we'll get to that in a second.
Yeah, they definitely do lose their lead here. Yeah, Steve and Dave are there at the same time as Kelly and John. They both complete this roadblock. Riken and Chip arrive at the lighthouse, and they learn that they can't enter until 9 a.m. the next morning.
Yeah, so it's the lighthouse is at Port 4 in Marseille, and the gates are closed. And oh boy, do we have something coming here.
We get some drama.
But just
okay.
So
first of all, the first teams to arrive are Riken and Chip and Tien and Jeree, and they decide they're not gonna they're just gonna stay in a hotel, and then they're going to go there in the morning to the lighthouse where it'll open up, and then they can drive on their way through. No problems at all. Several teams who then arrive there, they decide they're going to do their favorite thing this season, which is line up, and they're going to sleep in their cars.
So they form a neat little line on the side of the road, and they snooze away in their cars. Mm-hmm. And morning rolls around, and we see Riken and Chip and Tien and Jeree just... They butt the... It's really quite kindergartnerish. It's just like... What is it like? What was the term? Was it
no budging?
Budging. That was it.
Yeah.
Where did that term even? So like, if you think about that term, it's so weird.
Yeah.
Like,
it's like, what does that even mean? Budge in line. How did we even learn that?
That's what I mean, and it's a word that we just kind of lost from our vocabulary. Obviously, at some point we're not. Anyway, so there's some budging in line happening.
Well, because in Tien and Jeree's defense, the security guard told them to just go there because there are too many cars at the back anyway. So they said, just go to the front. It's no big deal. So they said, okay, we're going to follow this authority figure. And the whole group has a confrontation with them. People are mad.
It's brutal. They're getting out of cars. They're, gloves off, ready to throw some punches.
Yeah. Tien and Jeree say that I'm not fighting with anybody, so don't ask me questions. And they're kind of getting into it a little bit. And then Steve tells Tien and Jeree and Riken and Chip to, quote, check your tires. You never know what's going to happen.
It's so good.
What are you going to do, slash their tires or what?
I mean, wouldn't that make for an interesting leg?
Yeah, seriously.
But, okay, and
they're going to be detained for real.
But here's the thing is all this drama, and in the end they let Tien and Jeree, Riken and Chip let the others go in first. And then it's this mad dash to find Port 4. Okay, where's Port 4? Okay, where's the lighthouse? Where's the lighthouse? And then there's just nothing there. It's just a route instruction. Like you would think after all this there would be something there, but then it just directs them to what is it, the Gorge du Blavet?
Yeah, it's just drama that gets into nothing.
And it's like you said, there's just more driving. So they get the clue. It directs them to Gorge du Blavet, which will be the detour, and they have to then drive there. Yeah,
okay. Well, hold on. I just want to go back a little bit. Because Riken and Chip get really aggressive and quite whiny here with this whole line situation. But don't question my integrity. I'm not shaking your hand and this, that, and the other thing. And it's okay, this is getting to be kind of annoying, actually. And I think they do end up actually going to the back of the line, but Tien and Jeree still stay there. But they let everybody pass them. But it's kind of a moment. It's are they going to go, or are they going to go back on their word? But they didn't,
because they didn't want to get canceled. Which is so silly.
Yeah. Okay, yeah, but yeah, so they drive to the lighthouse. Kelly and John are actually the first ones to get there, shockingly enough. And yeah, they're going to the gorge, and this is where we see. I don't really fully understand this. They're going to the gorge, and Kelly does this kind of like fake out where she's like, because she knows Millie and Chuck are behind them, so while she's driving, she like pretends she's gonna go one way, but then she like doesn't. And then we cut to Millie saying she's so catty, like talking about Kelly. They hate each other.
This is a high school drama here.
Yeah. Tian and Juri get there last because they stop at a police station to ask for directions.
They seem very directionally challenged.
Yeah. They were off to a good start this episode. Yeah, they were pretty much in last here. But Riken and Chip are seemingly the first to arrive at this roadblock. So they parked their car in the quote-unquote marked parking lot, which is just like the road.
The clue told them to look for a marked parking lot. And for some reason, they decide to park. One of them is very adamant that it's literally in the middle of the road. There's not really a marking. And then he just starts leading both of them down this path.
This is a random path.
It's in this hilly area where it's kind of like you're going downhill through the trees. Like, it's pretty dense. And once you see the other teams arrive at the marked parking lot, it's very clear that it was a very obviously marked parking lot. They're not trying to trip you up.
Yeah, but they're determined, and they're going to keep walking down this path. So we go to the real detour where David and Jeff arrive first.
Ropes or slopes?
It's actually really quite disappointing that they're going to recycle the same name as the previous season. We can't even come up with something new. We did ropes and slopes already. What about, I don't know, cliffs or I don't know. You know what? This is ropes. You rappel down a cliff, scary but fast. Slopes, long sloping trail, route marker below.
We've done
scary,
this before.
But slow.
We've done this before.
Yeah. Everybody does ropes. David and Jeff, John and Al complete this first. And they're told to drive another 150 miles to Chateau de Alpilles.
What is Alpi?
Alpi, maybe? Which is a 200-year-old mansion. And they are going to arrive at the pit stop.
Woohoo! So it's kind of around here that we cut back and forth between Riken and Chip, who just keep walking. And the one is like, "Are you sure that this is where it is? Like, I haven't seen any route markers. I don't see any other teams." And the other one's like, "Yes, I'm sure." And they just keep walking further into nowhere.
They're going to Narnia, and they're going across rivers, valleys, and they do have a bit of a hashtag breakdown.
Yeah, and at some point, the one who was like, "Okay, let's turn around," just finally says like, "Look, let's just go back to the car. I think we would have found it or at least seen like a route marker or a team by now." So they do turn around and make it back to the actual pit or actual detour, but at this point they have lost quite a bit of their lead, quote unquote.
Yeah. And we go to Tian and Juri, who are in last, and they decide they're going to go for the fast forward, which is a good move for them.
Yes, I didn't mind this fast forward. I think I wish it was a little bit more complex, but I liked what they were getting at. I just think they could have added a bit more difficulty to it.
Yeah, it was kind of fun. Yeah, so they have to go to a museum and complete a giant puzzle at Chateau de Alpi, which is the pit stop. So it's just like they're assembling a painting. But the puzzle is it's huge.
It's huge, but the thing is, it's only like 16 squares, which...
Yeah, it's very simple.
They complete it, no issue. They get the clue, and they're off.
Yeah, well, it's like pretty easy, because it's like, okay, the grass is probably going to go on the bottom. It's a building. It goes upward into the sky. But, okay, I was like, I don't know how advantageous the fast forward would be, because this is so late in the leg. So, like, wouldn't this just be trading one task for another? Like, instead of doing the detour, you're just doing the fast forward task. But I guess it depends on location. The detour is probably farther away from the pit stop than, or more
My assumption was that the fast forward was really close, or it's probably, it's in Marseille, and then the pit stop's probably closer to Marseille. So it's...
Yeah.
But I don't know. Either way, Tian and Juri, do they get there first?
Yeah, they do.
Yeah.
With
so
the
they
painting
do beat
in hand. They were given the painting. Yeah.
They're given a miniature cut version of the painting, and they do make it first, which good for them.
Yeah. Yeah, there we go. They're still in the lead. Or
Also,
in that front
at
pack.
some point when teams are, I think it might be near the end when teams are arriving to the pit stop, but there's just this weird montage of, like, it was like the wind howling and tree branches falling at the chateau.
Yeah, that was really strange. There's like a really dramatic, like, tree branch falling onto the ground.
For no reason.
Yeah. Like, I was like, oh, this is curious. I don't know why I should be, like, spooked right now.
I know.
But that's anyway. What they were eliciting. Okay, Steve and Dave are at the roadblock, and they say, quote, "It was called ropes, but it was more like throw the whales off a cliff."
You mean, not roadblock, detour, but yeah.
Oh, that's what I meant. Yeah, the detour. Yeah, they love to do that one. And at this point, Riken and Chip are in 7th, and have completely blown their lead. Okay, Kelly and John are leaving the detour, and John is asking for directions from locals, and then says, upon receiving the directions, he says, "This doesn't seem right. The French are idiots." Which, you know what? Maybe not a great thing to say.
Says the stereotypical American tourist in France.
And Kelly and John end up going in the wrong direction for half an hour here. Millie and Chuck and the Clowns Alliance, who are they? John and Al, because they're kind of working together. They arrive together in 2nd as one, which there's also a lot of that this season, where we're all going to step on the pit stop together on the mat.
Yeah. But I guess as long as it's not first, there's no problem.
Mm-hmm. Monica and Sheree in 4th, a steady, humble 4th. Riken and Chip in 5th. David and Jeff in 6th. So it's coming down to Kelly and John, who we knew went 30 minutes in the wrong direction, or Steve and Dave.
And at this point, I'm really, really hoping for one of those two.
Wait, hold on. I completely forgot about Steve and Josh.
Oh my gosh, me too.
Were they just not in this episode? Except for the beginning? I don't remember. I don't have any notes on them.
No, me neither. To be fair, I remember thinking that at one point while watching the episode, being like, okay, they really haven't shown them at all this leg.
Hold on. So it's not actually between Kelly and John, Steve and Dave. Kelly and John are in 7th. I was glad to see them live another day, not ready to let go of them. And then I have this in my notes. I said, wait, how did Steve and Josh fall so far behind? I'm lost. I guess it was from that beginning part, but they really didn't tell the story of Steve and Josh this episode at all.
No.
To the point where we completely forgot they existed this whole entire time.
Yeah, which is never great, because you don't want the audience to forget about a team, obviously.
Yeah, okay, so Steve and Dave, they're holding on. Barely.
They keep thinking that they're going to be out.
Yeah, kind of giving gutsy grannies in that way, maybe.
Okay, but gutsy grannies made it to leg 2.
I know. 3, I think. Yeah, because you thought they were going to be out leg 1 and leg 2, but they survived both. Yeah, Steve and Dave living on another day, and we go to Steve and Josh, and they're getting their farewell speeches while they're still completing the detour, and arrive at the pit stop when it's dark outside. So they've fallen significantly far behind, seemingly.
Yeah, they made a blunder right off the bat, and it didn't help them.
Yeah, and they're eliminated quite unceremoniously. I don't think anybody was attached to them, per se.
I wasn't. They didn't, nothing against them. It's just, yeah, I didn't have a character or personality for them in my head.
No. I mean, or any of the teams who have been eliminated previously, to be honest.
No, I think now we're just getting to the point where I kind of have more quote-unquote attachment to the, like, I understand the personalities of the teams who are here now.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's episode 4.
Yeah, they kind of dropped the ball with the whole Steve and Josh thing. I don't think that was done very well. I don't think we've ever had that where we just, like, completely forgot about a team the entire episode until the end, realizing that they're eliminated.
Yeah. I can't even speak to that, because, yeah, I feel bad. I totally forgot about them.
Okay. Well, that's kind of killing me. But we get a little preview of next week. We're staying in Europe. Amsterdam.
Yeah, the canals.
More canals, yeah. Tien and Jiri do a lot of map snatching from one another, which is par for the course for them. Which is also shocking that they're still alive in episode 5.
But will the curse prevail? Will the number 1 team be eliminated?
Will the curse prevail?
Anyway, that is it for this week. If you guys want post notifications, so like a version of that, check out our Buy Us a Coffee page. I make a post on there every week to kind of basically, if you follow us on there, you will get an email in and around when we are posting. Or if you want to chat with us, DM us, Instagram, Amazing Race Rewind, or emails if you have any insider info on the season or anything we've discussed, amazingracerewind@gmail.com. I can't tell you how much we genuinely love to hear from people. It's always an event.
We love an email. When that inbox goes boop, +1 email, thank you, we're reading that immediately.
We're calling each other. We're being like, oh my God, did you see what's in the email inbox?
Yeah. We've had some great interactions with some people via email. So, yeah, that's awesome.
And yeah, that's all I have to say for now.
Give us a good rating if you'd like. If you don't like us, feel free to not give a good rating. That's what the system is there for. And
this is a democratic podcast.
Yeah. We'll move on to episode 5.
See you next week.
Mm-hmm.
Bye. Bye-bye.